Hi, I'm Karen MacNeil, and this is WineSpeed.com's People to Know, insider interviews with the most fascinating and important people in the wine business. And today we're at Gargiulo Vineyards with Jeff Gargiulo, who is the proprietor. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
And before you started in the wine business, you were very involved in farming. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was in the agricultural business. We farmed tomatoes, produce crops, strawberries, raspberries, pretty much all over the world. Started in Florida, ended up in California, Mexico, South America. So we were very involved as farmers.
Grapes, though, they're a little bit different than strawberries and oranges, aren't they?
They are different, but they also are similar, because the thing that we do with grapes is we really focus on trying to get the best possible flavor that we can out of the grapes. I hate to tell you this, but in produce crops, that's not necessarily the game. Part of that game is let's try to get the best yields and get the best looking product, because if it doesn't look good on a retail shelf, then probably consumer doesn't buy it. But here, we focus completely on the taste and flavor.
Yeah. Now, I know that when you moved to Napa Valley more than 20 years ago, you were very connected to Belle and Barney Rhodes, who a lot of our viewers may not know, but they were iconic people in the Napa Valley, and they were your wife Valerie's cousins, I believe. What was your impression? They're both sadly deceased now, but what was your impression of them, and why were they important to you?
Well, they were extremely knowledgeable, and they really gave us a introduction to Napa Valley like you probably couldn't get otherwise. I mean, Barney was considered one of the great palates, and there was not a winemaker or a new winery in Napa Valley that didn't want Barney's opinion on the wine. And Belle, of course, was an amazing chef, and she was mentoring a lot of chefs here. So the two of them, being family and taking us in, were a huge part of getting us going in this valley.
Yeah, they were an extraordinary couple, and I hope in the years to come, the history books of Napa Valley will recognize their extraordinary influence. Now, we're here in Oakville, in the heart of the Napa Valley, and Gargiulo Vineyards, where we're sitting, is almost a baseball's throw away from Screaming Eagle. When you bought this property, did you have any idea how extraordinary the wine could be from it?
That's a good question, and I did, because Jean Phillips, who was the land broker at the time that sold us the property, was Screaming Eagle. She was the original proprietor and founder, and so she was very, very excited about this property, and we were very blessed that we sort of were handpicked to buy this property, and we had to make a quick decision. I think I told you that earlier, but I think this is an extraordinary place to grow wine grapes.
Yeah. And we're right on volcanic red soil that has slid down the mountain just a few hundred feet from here, right?
It was always interesting, because Barney Rhodes would always say, don't buy anything if it doesn't have red dirt. And sure enough, when this property came to be, it's this volcano spilled over these beautiful red rocks, and that's what we have beneath us right now.
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary, this part of Napa Valley. But you know, you also make Sangiovese, and Sangiovese, there was a time in the 90s when it was briefly popular in the Napa Valley, but not many people kept it. You have it, though. Why is that?
Well, Gargiulo has a vowel at the end of the name, and if you were like me and you grew up in the tomato business, everything in your house on Sunday night was red. And as we all know, if you want to really have a wine to complement bolognese sauce or lasagna, that little spiciness, the acidity in a Sangiovese is really the wine. I mean, it's the reason why they grow it in Italy. So we decided that when we architected the Money Road Ranch to plant a few rows and see what we could do with it. We hired a viticulturalist he's actually from New Zealand, but he did a lot of work with Antinori, so he had a very distinctive idea of how we should architect the vineyard. So we have a really high canopy and a long cordon, puts a little natural stress on the grape. And the grape wine is just such a great expression of that vibrant fruit that you get in Sangiovese.
Yeah, and I so agree that acidity is critically important, especially when you have dishes that have olive oil, sort of salt and pepper. I mean, it's a really beautiful combination. So we know, I mean, in fact, we might be able to see behind us are some of the handmade guitars that you collect. And I know you love music. You play in a band. What's the connection between wine and music? I mean, in your mind, are they similar?
Well, certainly, certainly they both hit all of the senses. And I think that, you know, the interesting thing about the guitar collection is that Valerie, my wife, and our daughter April, when we started thinking about what the art should be in this tasting room, they said, well, you play guitar, why don't we display some of your guitars? And if you think about these guitars, they're all handmade. They're by American luthiers. They're crafted guitars that are really unique, one of a kind, as I like to think our wine is. It's handcrafted wine. We make the wine from very special grapes. So I think there's a similarity in that. But there's also a similarity in just wine, enjoying music, enjoying food, enjoying people, sort of the art of living. I mean, they all just fit together like a glove.
Yeah. Now, you have been very successful, not only here in Napa Valley, but also in your former career. You were the CEO of Sunkist at one point. I know you were a very high executive at Monsanto. What character trait do you think you possess that has allowed you to be so successful?
Well, that's a tough one. I just think that whatever you do, you have to be passionate about. And you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be honest with people you work with. And I like to think that Valerie and I express that to our team and to our customers and to the trade and to the industry, and just always have been that way.
All right. And finally, tell us something about yourself that would surprise most people to know.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Let's think about that. I grew up in Florida. I used to catch stone crabs in the morning, or I'd put the traps out in the morning. I would catch the crabs because my dad wanted us to work and make a living. I would bring them home, or go back out on the boat in the afternoon, get the crabs, boil them, and put them on my bicycle and sell them to the neighbors for $1.25 a pound. By the way, now they're about $35 a pound.
A good businessman, even as a young.
I was an entrepreneur. The other thing is about guitars. When I was in college, I always tell this to sometimes students, is my first really entrepreneurial business was I sold guitars in college. Back in the day when you didn't have UPS. And so I would put an ad in the paper until I got an order, and then I made a deal with a music store. So I could get them for 30% off. I would sell them for 20% off, and I'd have to go to the bus station, pay COD to pick up the guitar, and then deliver it to my customer.
Oh my goodness. Well, an early businessman for sure. Our complete interview with Jeff Gargiulo is at the People to Know page on winespeed.com. Don't miss it.